Running a Fever, episode 54. Welcome to another Monday special edition of Running a Fever. Recently, I mentioned that I had visited my general practitioner, Dr. Bicak, and I was experiencing some arm pain. He gave a really good explanation of how that might be caused by my rapid weight loss, and he was kind enough to let me record it, so here it is.
So what is the problem?
I have pain in my shoulder, starting like in the middle of my back right here, all the way up to here, and it goes down to here.
Okay.
Now today it doesn't hurt because I'm in a doctor's office, but normally it'll be sore all the time, just like I have a strained muscle or something. But it doesn't seem like it's that because, it was sore yesterday, but today there's no soreness.
Okay.
It's kind of historically I've had problems with this because I remember, back when I was in my 20s, I used to play squash a lot. Mm-hmm. And I went to play squash one day and it's just excruciating. On and off, it's been like that, but never to this point because it's like, probably 2 or 3 weeks now that it's been like this and almost every day.
Did you do anything to cause it?
I don't think so. If I did, it wasn't, normal. It wasn't something I remember.
Okay.
But I've lost a lot of weight lately, and I've been exercising since November.
What kind?
Just walking mostly, some running. I want to start doing more strength exercises. And that's one of the reasons this is so bad, because I can't do anything much without using the arm.
So the pain goes from where? It's
like the whole upper right quarter of my back down to, about right here. And this, I don't know how to describe it.
Not your fingers?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to describe it. It feels like, I don't know, I guess maybe like carpal tunnel or something, but...
So carpal tunnel would only be your fingers?
Yeah. But it feels like that right in here.
Okay. So this area is probably going to be coming from your neck.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It won't be your rotator cuff because that pain would be confined to your shoulder itself. It won't be a muscle because there's no muscle that goes from here to here. Yeah. But there is a nerve that would go from here to here, and the more the nerve would get pinched, it can go farther down your arm. There may be something that you're doing in your workout, probably not walking, but if there's any lifting or anything that you're doing or have done.
Not really. It kind of started earlier, and I have done a little bit of lifting, but I stopped after,
How much weight did you knock off?
70 pounds.
Okay. And when did you do that? Over what?
Starting in January.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this pain started when?
Sometime in the middle there.
Okay.
A few weeks ago.
So the other thing that can happen as you lose weight, your center of gravity changes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
As your center of gravity changes, the body had gotten used to a certain weight. You change the center of gravity, and if you didn't, you would fall forward.
Yeah.
You don't have the 70 pounds there anymore.
Another thing that's going on.
Then that could change the alignment of the front to back alignment of the spine, and there's a lot of ligaments that are slow to adapt to change.
Oh, okay.
And then the holes that are between the vertebrae that adapt to your new thinner you. Also, depending on how the curve changes, the holes between the vertebrae can narrow more or open more. You may have a situation where your spine is in the middle of adjusting to your moving target.
Okay. How long do you think that would normally take?
Are you still losing weight?
I'm gonna stop for a few months.
But at the moment, you're losing weight, right?
As of
like you weigh less this week than last week.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah. So currently, it's still in flux because you're still once your weight stabilizes.
And I know it was too fast for a lot of reasons. I had some other problems with medication not working and stuff like that. But I think I'm seeing a dietitian now.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm going to
see, or where do you go?
It's in the VA. They have a MOVE program. And so it's I'm going to see her once a month for 6 months.
I would say if we say there's a fresh pinching related to how your posture is different as you lose weight over a couple of months, that should alleviate if it's going to.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that could be done is we can get an X-ray of your neck and spine, or I could, or you can ask them at the VA where it probably costs less. To do it there. Do you have any history of scoliosis?
Not that I know of.
Stand up.
I asked you about that at one point.
Well, I think you might. Just looking at your shoulders. This shoulder is high, and this shoulder is low.
Okay.
And if we put a level on your shoulders, the bubble would float over.
I see.
Over here.
Yeah.
And so that's an added level of stress and strain on those nerves, and would potentially explain why it would be on one side and not the other if your posture is changed. Bend forward halfway here, and let your arms angle down. And now when you bend forward, this side has a sharper drop off, the left side, and the right side has a more gradual slope, but there's a steeper slope on the left side here.
Okay.
And then when you stand up, your left shoulder is higher than your right shoulder. So you would have something that you could learn from a scoliosis X-ray. I know out here in the civilian world, the only place that does them is over at Mercy, because they've kept they kept an old school X-ray system to do that, whereas the Northwest has done it with, they've gotten rid of that stuff, so you have to lay down for the X-ray, and it kind of removes the accuracy of the image.
Okay.
So you might have me write you a prescription for a scoliosis X-ray in case you ask the VA and they say we don't do those.
Yeah.
Then you can go to Mercy and do it.
Okay.
And that'll definitely, what I said earlier about losing the weight, changing it, multiply that by an additional likelihood if you do actually turn out to have scoliosis, because that happens to people even if they didn't lose weight. You'd want to be careful if you're doing any weight training that you don't use a single bar for weight training, because your shoulders are at a different height.
I have dumbbells that are
good. Yeah. At least each side will be able to be judged on its own.
Now, if this is nerve related, I mean, is it okay if I do weights or?
Well, it's okay unless you're going super aggressive, or unless after whatever you're calling non-aggressive, you feel worse the next day. Then we're back to the doctor joke of if it hurts, don't do it.
Right. So as long as it stays the same, then it's probably okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And you may get to a point where if this is persisting and there's no rhyme or reason to it, where you need to work towards getting a specific MRI of the base of the neck, because it's the base of the neck that innervates this region that you're describing.
If I have scoliosis, what is the treatment?
Modifying your workout, and first the treatment is understanding that it's there, and then seeing a physical therapist to modify your workout so that you can not unintentionally do something that you think is helpful, and it's actually the worst thing you could do.
But as far as
straighten the spine,
there's not any cure for it. Right?
Whenever you were going from being child size to adult size, the ligaments at the side of the spine are stretchy, and so as your tower grew taller, it allowed the tower to do this to some degree, and then once you reach your full adult height, then the ligaments tighten up and lock it into place. You could go to a chiropractor who could do some degree of temporary helpfulness by making it look good for a moment until you go sit in your car,
and
then everything will reset because the ligaments are set in their way in this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if I have a problem that doesn't resolve itself with the neck.
Yeah, so you could have a bulging disc in the neck because the curvature of your spine may be producing the most of the curve right at the base of your neck, where the shoulders are at a different height, which would make sense that it's right. You could have a bulging disc right there.
Okay.
Then you would want to be very careful with who you saw for anything interventional to help with that, because the doctor has to take the scoliosis into account when they're making a treatment decision on any sort of surgery.
Right.
So you would want to look for a place that is familiar with patients with scoliosis that herniate discs.
And that would be an orthopedic surgeon?
Yes, but probably not around here.
Because you'd want a specialist who specializes in
scoliosis, as herniated discs as they relate to scoliosis.
Yeah.
And the last few patients in that same predicament, I've sent to Texas Back Institute in Dallas, and they haven't been scared away by.
So you've seen this
scoliosis. Before? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they haven't been scared away by the scoliosis. They just have to add that into the equation of what they're doing. But if the last
good results
person,
for those? Okay.
Good results. The last person I sent there had surgery by somebody who didn't realize they had scoliosis. And so they made their surgical decision based on a straight spine, and what happened was it magnified the pain because they tried making a decision to do something to stabilize this area, and they stabilized it straight, but there was a natural curve that they didn't know was there.
So it's pinching something.
What it did was it made this perfectly straight when it needed a slight curve, and then that added stress and strain here and here.
Like trying to make an S into an I or something, right?
Or imagine go to Lowe's and go buy a piece of bendable aluminum and bend it into an S, and then try forcibly straightening it, and you can straighten it, but feel the tension on the edge of the rod. You'll know why that lady was hurting so bad. So the person needs to take that into account if anybody ever needed surgery, and they can do surgery, but they have to do it in the context of the curve.
Got to know that. I think this is probably related to the weight thing, but I mean, I can't straighten my back. When I lay down on the floor, my head won't go down to the floor.
Right. That's related to, let's just say you start off with a normal curve. Okay, there's your rear end. And your head up there. Okay. And then you have your six-pack abs here. Okay. And then
not yet,
but okay, so that's a normal human, basically. Let's say. Okay, then the normal human gains some weight, and this is just a cartoon, so I'm going to put that there. Okay. Well, nothing happens in a vacuum. Your back tries to compensate for that. Okay. Well, it actually will do that over time because you don't gain this so suddenly. It's over time, and this gradually
same thing up here. Yeah.
Then nothing happens in a vacuum on the spine. If this does this, then this has to come forward so that you maintain the center of gravity in the right spot. So then that person has to look that it accentuates the upper back curve, that it accentuates the neck, because otherwise if you don't do this, you'll be looking down all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So to function like this, you have a hyper curve of your neck.
That's what's going on, yeah.
So then once you lose this suddenly, okay, well, this is slow, and this doesn't occur in a vacuum. When this occurs, this is occurring. And that's the adjustment that I'm talking about. Could that be why you're symptomatic?
So this is the kind of thing I want to tell my losers. My listeners and losers, biggest losers. This is one of the things. Don't do this for a lot of other reasons that I've already talked about. But don't lose weight, that fast. So
that would be a reasonable assessment. But even if you do it slower, this adjustment is still going to happen.
It's there, right. So is that just going to be something I'll just have to wait on, or is there physical therapy or something that might help? Or
help with this?
Yeah.
Physical therapy could help. It doesn't necessarily have to be something that you go to 3 times a week for the next months. It
teach me exercises.
Where they give you the home exercise program, and it's as useful as you doing it, and as useless as you forgetting.
Right. Well, I'm going to do it because my physical health is my number one priority.
Yeah. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
I'll get a picture of that before I leave.
Yeah. You can have the original.
Okay.
Now, so I am going to write for a scoliosis x-ray.
Good.
Have you tried already like anti-inflammatories and things like that to help with this?
Well, that helps with the pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Do
you recommend that I continually take those?
You can for a month or two and see if while your body is adjusting, is it significantly helpful to keep your sanity while you're dealing with it. And then after a month or two, if you keep noticing, man, this problem is still here, what do we do? Well, that's when we would move forward with further imaging, or you would talk to the
because it does affect my sleep sometimes.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. So,
it would.
Okay.
Yeah, and hopefully you have a good, if you're having the problem with the support of your neck, you have a good high enough pillow, so that then if you also are rolling over on your side, that pillow will also be keeping your neck kind of neutral.
Yeah.
And then your long-term goal, in a perfect world, it's always good to strive for, is you want the back of your heels, your rear end, the shoulder blades, and the back of your head to match up on the wall. And that's kind of the report card and progress report to see how you're doing over time. But right now, if you do it, you'll be looking up at the ceiling.
Right.
Yeah. Also, an inversion table can be helpful. Have you heard of those?
It's like an incline, but yeah.
Yeah, you don't necessarily go completely upside down.
Yeah.
But you would want to get one that is substantially supportive and non-rickety, since you want it to be stable and not tense everything up.
So what, like a 45-degree angle, or?
You would go back until you felt basically like you were floating in space for the problem that you have, and so there's various degrees to go to, but you wouldn't go upside down.
Okay, and that's to help the
traction can help stretch the ligaments. It's going to, obviously, the more weight pulling by you going upside down, the more useful it would be. So there's less pulling the higher up your body you go. It's great for the low back, but if you have scoliosis, any general traction can be useful.
Okay.
Yeah, and that gives you control instead of having to go see somebody to put you on a traction table to try to help you or anything like that. Yeah.
I remember a guy when I was a kid came to our house and he had this thing with weights that lifted his head up. Mm-hmm. Is that similar?
And they have something now that I believe you can buy online that goes around your neck and with a pumper. An air compressor.
Straightens it.
So basically, it's putting that same sort of traction like what you remember the guy having, but it's doing it with
the
pressure, air pressure there.
So are those okay or?
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
just don't cut off your air supply.
Yeah. So how long would I need to be on this inversion table?
You can use it forever if you needed to.
I can sleep on it?
Oh, no. Okay, so you meant how long each?
Yeah.
Generally, a session on it is 15 minutes, and people do it at, once or twice a day while they're feeling the need to do it. Then when you're better, you may put it in the closet and not get it out for a year until something's irritated, and then you get it back out and do it 15 minutes once or twice a day.
All right.
And there's a brand called Teeter Hang-Ups that's the most solid, stable one that doesn't feel rickety.
Okay, good. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Wow, lots of good advice here.
Well, I hope it's helpful.
I think it will be.
Yeah.
This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com